Thank you for keeping it Smart 24 TV. You're watching SMB with us right here, driving you up to the hour of 10. Right about now, we head into SMB Insight, where we bring to you a detailed perspective from respective sectors on that particular topic or on that particular concern situation that arise in the business community. Joram, take us what is in this insight today.
And in today's insight, we take a look at saving for investment. And when you look at saving, can ideally be putting money aside gradually, typically into your saving box or your bank account, and you're saving that money with you, your piggy bank or your local saving box. And investing can be identified as using some of your money with the aim of helping it grow bigger by buying assets that might increase in value, such as stocks, property, or shares, or in a mutual fund. And ideally, Ugandans, all of us, not only Ugandans, but almost everyone in the world is good at saving. But when you look at it in a picture, is it more important than investment? So in today's insight, we take a look and go deeper by understanding what saving for investment entails and why it is important for us to save for investment.
Is that notion that Ugandans don't save? I don't believe in it. Ugandans actually save money. So once you save money and you fail to invest that money, you stand a risk of losing value. So you've seen how prices are hiking. Everything is becoming expensive. Inflation is the punishment to savers. Why? You've saved, you've not grown the money.
Oops, inflation is a punishment to savers. Ooh, that hit a nerve, I should say. Well, welcome to the SMB Insight. As today, we look at saving for investment, and our coach and today's financial advisor is none other than
Sharon Tumushabe. I'm the Vice President of Sales at Zeno Investment Management. My role on a daily basis is to help people plan, save, and invest for their goals.
saving for investment is clearly putting your savings into use, but is that all?
Saving for investment means you have this money today, so than you to just keep it on an account or at home, you actually get to invest it in an asset. So there are two types of assets. There's lending, what we call debt, and then there's what we call equity, owning something, shares, or if you own a business, then you've invested in a business. So you're a shareholder in that business. It could be lending. I have these savings, let me lend it to my friend to invest in a business, they give me a return. So you either do the debt or owning. And majority of the times, saving for investment means I have these savings, let me put them to work, let me earn a return at the end of the investment. Now, when you talk about investments, there is risk usually attached. So this investment you want to make, what risk does it have? Is it high risk, high return? Is it a low risk, low return? So you always have to look at that as you're planning to make these investments. So typically when you save, get this money and put it in an asset that is going to grow the savings so that in the future, let's say 3 months or 6 months from now, you've actually accumulated some kind of return that helps you beat inflation. So moving your money through time. So we've invested 10,000 today. After 6 months, it has become 10,500 shillings. So that 500 has come because you've been actively investing this money. So saving for investment means don't just save the money, put it in an asset that is going to earn you a return at the end of a period.
When looking for how to invest your savings, what should one do?
The easiest way is using a professional. When you use a professional, you take away the hassle of doing research, the hassle of finding which asset to invest in, the hassle of calculating how much you're actually earning, lessing your expenses. So for somebody who has their savings, I would recommend them to actually go to a regulated fund manager. Now, a regulated fund manager has a license from the Capital Markets Authority. These are professionals that have gone to school that understand financial markets or financial assets. They are able to guide you on how to invest for your short-term, mid-term, and long-term goals. So financial assets are investments that people don't utilize a lot because they don't teach us these things in school. You're either going to do a research on your own, and that's how you're going to learn that I can actually lend the government. I can lend my money to the bank without me just having a savings account. So these are things that people are not educated about. But there's investments, there's banking, there's insurance. So investments is when you put your money in an asset so that it grows.
But then, what happens once you are done getting this professional or financial advisor?
Once you find an advisor that can guide you on what kind of plan you need for your goal, it's always good to start with a goal. Why am I saving? Because there's an end goal. So you turn your goals into financial goals. I want to educate my child. I want to build a home. What is that thing that you want to save for? Is it a short-term goal? So if it's a short-term goal, then the way you organize your assets for a short-term goal is totally different from a goal that is 10 years from now. So you would find someone actually buying land, and they will need this money in 3 or 6 months from now. So, and then we know that land is a fixed asset. So are you actually solving that liquidity that you will need in 6 months? Was that the most optimal asset to buy? So, but once you know what the goal is, if you're buying land for retirement, 10 years, 5 years from now, it makes sense, right? So then do that kind of investment. If your goal is a short-term goal, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, they're unit trust funds. You don't have to just save this money, invest it. The unit trust funds give you access to financial assets like bonds, treasury bills, fixed deposits, equities, companies that are listed on the stock exchange. You're able to invest in all these assets. So let's not just save. Let's also put this money to work by investing it in financial assets and other alternative investments. There's land, owning a business, but let's avoid to put our eggs in one basket. Please don't invest all your savings in that one business and that's it. If anything happened to it, we saw what COVID did to us. You have that shop. When COVID came, shops were closed. So how did you meet your short-term goals like feeding your family, paying rent? Let's diversify. Have some money in short-term assets like financial assets. Have some money in a business. Buy land. Diversify, like have different kinds of assets than just investing in that particular one asset. Because it's working for you today, it doesn't mean that even in the future it will continue working the same. So let's spread our risk and let's invest smartly. And people are able to actually get this advice free of charge. We have built a platform online that helps you to plan for your various goals. And you don't need to be a customer. We don't charge for it. It's free of charge.
Well, that's Sharon Tumushabe for you, the Vice President, Sales, Zeno Investment Management. If you're to just have it in a nutshell, saving is putting money aside, gradually, typically, into a bank account. And investing is using some of your money with the aim of helping to make it grow by buying assets that might increase in value, such as stocks, property, or shares in a mutual fund. There you have it, saving for investment. Till then, in our next SMB Insight.
Investment.
You know, what is still shocking me is that one of the statements the lady used is that inflation is, no, she said Ugandans save, but inflation is punishment to savers. That, for example, if Joram saves 10 million to buy a car, what happens after that car increases to 15 million next month? Where are you going to get that money? So that means you have to incur more expenses. So clearly, with saving for investment, you can invest that money somewhere and still get more out of it in the long run.
You can invest and plan for the future, and there are quite many aspects or many goals or targets related to saving. You might not know even where to begin from, but look at your circle of life. Look at, are you single? If you're single, okay, what I mean is, are you single? If you're single, you have to, that means consider targets or investment targets or saving targets that are for that singular part. Are you married? Do you have children going to school? That means obviously your investment goal or target goal or your saving capacity is definitely going to be very different from that single person, because the single person is looking at themselves, a selfish life, not selfish, selfless life. And then, whereas you are married, Joram Postonko is looking after his wife, thinking about his family, you have to create another investment plan or investment mode. So you can, that's when you try to consider, do I need education saving, do I need retirement, do I need wealth generation, or what more do you need? But rather, away from that, do you realize that many of the people I've interacted with, when it comes to investment, they tend to feel that's for a long time, and they want, you know, funds after a very small time. I want to inquire something
Quick
on my
results.
own.
We all
And
want those quick results immediately. You know that I've saved in my 5 million, next month I'm going to get 10 million. So immediately you always think of, how much am I going to get from it?
Yes, and you're telling me as the investment firm that, you know what, you're going to access this after maybe a certain period, 3 years, 5 years. If there is no that patience patience character in you, you're going to tell yourself, you know what, I cannot do this. Let me just withdraw my money. And that's why we see majority of the people are going for the loans, are going for creditors to make sure they use, there's now at least a digitalization or e-platforms that are helping people get loans on phone. You can get a loan on mobile money, and it's not bad, I mean, to get a loan, because everyone needs a loan at some point. Wouldn't you need a loan?
I would need a loan.
When it's like you're speaking
I
in a
want
future.
that loan immediately after event. I will come to you and give me a loan. But anyway, taking loans, I think almost everyone takes these loans. The
And
only
they're for
challenge is,
development.
only challenge comes at paying back. Even our government
You
still
feel
has
offended paying
even
back.
our government still has challenges with paying back.
And we
some of
shouldn't
these loans.
equate
So,
individuality to government, to organizations. It's
but
wrong.
anyway, it is true. We've been through all these
That could be
situations,
true.
but
But then you don't draw your goals with what is happening
with
in your government.
maybe if
And
at all
that
I'm
is
a
going to
government
be-
official.
No, that is going to be a challenge. Very well, I understand. I hear you, Joram. And there are people who derive, you know, their capacity of saving, their niche of targeting their investment through what is happening around government. For example, someone might, and it's just an example, might be not investing just because, for example, President Museveni is still in power, is still the president, and someone is saying, you know what, I'm not going to invest in anything if President Museveni is still the president. It's just an example. And whereas someone else is saying, you know what, I have got to put all my investments, or I have got to invest into this particular firm, this particular organization, because there is peace and security. President Museveni is still the leader there. And what happens when there is a disagreement in the country, or conflictions, like what is happening in Russia, what's happening in Ukraine? Do you think if people did not have that, you know, sensitiveness of saying, you know what, I have to, we're seeing restaurants withdrawing, we're seeing farms, many farms withdrawing, halting down businesses. But again, we don't know what is happening with that particular investment farms and that equity fund that was being put, people, what they were saving, especially in most cases, physical confliction, physical, you know, disruption does not affect investment plans if you have very well associated yourself with a very right company. The funds don't get affected.
And well, also setting your goals, like you said, is very important. The goals, because when you look at any other business, more so when it comes to investment, setting your goals as your priority is very important. Why? Because the goals determine what you want to achieve. You cannot come out of the blue and say, I want to invest in this, and that's it. You need to know that if I am to invest in this, I want by this time round to have hit this particular target. Or maybe if at all I fail to hit this, but at least I should have my investments reaching somewhere or having more value by the end of, let's say, a year. So setting goals, maybe you may set short-term or long-term goals, but either way, setting your goals should be priority.
Something just clicked my mind. People I've interacted with about saving. Saving for the future, saving for retirement, and here we even talk about the NSSF fund, the insurance you associated with right now. There is a fear of death, and that's a fact. Because at the end of the day, you are saving. You don't know what is going to happen at some point. I mean, accidents happen. I'm not driving into a horror movie here, but I'm trying to do a reality checker to let you know that, hey, there is actually hope even when you're dead, especially if you've got family. Do not be selfish. Do not feel it's upon you or it's just only about Twitter that, you know what, this is my life. I have to get all the salary. I have to get all the income I'm earning. I have to spend it. After all, it's my money. After all, I've worked for it. But if you've got family, and that is why it is always good to have family, because family helps in developments. And you tend not to think about yourself just, but you think about the future of not only Joram, of not only Rita, but the people around you. So even when the fear of death comes around, you're confident. I mean, someone is going to take on all what you're saving for. But speaking about investment, you might not even know what an investment is. You can actually invest, at least Sharon, she was highlighting about the investment deals that are there. There are either loans or assets, and in terms of equity or in terms of loans. And you can always save that money and put it into, let me say, an organized fund. And you know, there is always how to know an organized entity or investment firm that is there. There is Uganda Investment Authority that regulates any, listed companies to do all that in regards to stock exchange, in regards to dealing on trading. So you can visit Uganda Investment Authority website. There are those listed companies that you can surely trust your funds with. You can trust your money there. You can trust your assets with them. That's what I need to say, and about to conclude on that particular saving model culture around the country. Joram.
And saving, by the way, is quite challenging in our context. Why? Saving for investment, rather. Because we actually used to saving for a purpose of expenses. One, expenditure. Once you save, let's say I want to build
As I'm checking house. Something that made my night last night, I'm
when,
going to share.
When you look at how people save here, or how we definitely save, is I would save my money and say, by next year, I'm buying this car. So you start saving. So once next year reaches, you use that same money. Then that means you go back to zero. Again, you save. So the narrative about understanding saving for investment is for you to look at how your savings can make more money in the long run. Invest it somewhere. Put it into a business. Invest it into an asset. Invest it into bonds and stocks, all that. Because as a month passes by, this money will not be the same. Just like when you look at saving in the bank is quite different. The money will actually be decreasing. Why? Bank charges. But then when you're investing, there are chances, high chances that the money may remain the same or increase by time being. So clearly, everyone has to understand the issue of saving for investment, and just like you're hearing for investment, save some money for expenditure.
Because every time you're thinking about you want to build that house, you want to build that home, every time you're thinking you want to drive, when are you going to attend that? If you're just getting your salary at the end of the day, you've got emergency calls coming in, you're just spending what you had used actually. You don't even get your salary to even do fresh startups, but you get salary, or the money you're getting is helping you just clear off the debts, because during the month you're indebted. You're getting debts, you're getting debt for transport, you're getting debts for feeding, and after the month you're just clearing. So you're just working for clearing. But rather, if you would be putting this money aside or away, it would help you better yourself and encourage, you know, a saving at the end of the day. But as we speak of that, let's you know, memes, I don't know if you know memes, but those are funny, that at least create a vibe on your phone. There's something here that part of my salary goes to transporting myself to work so that I get salary. Actually, I pay work so that I can get paid to work and get paid to keep working.
And when you look at most of the jobs in the Ugandan context, is that people
you know, this was very touching.
People are being
people
are actually working. No, people are actually paid to work. People are actually paying to work.
You're paying part of your salary,
goes to,
if
to
not
most of the salary.
If not even most of your salary, you're getting it to pay to go to work, and when you get that, you again paying it to just, you know, go to work. So it's just the transportation fee.
And in a situation whereby you paid to even get that job, so you're living in a time of paying for everything. You're paying to get the job. After getting the job, you're paying to remain on the job by transporting yourself. So I feel like it's very true. When you look at that, unless you sit down and start evaluating how much you receive.
And that's what we're talking about, saving for investment.
I've had challenges whereby a friend of mine also revealed to me that they end up using more transport than they even receive on a paycheck at the end of the month. So then I sit down and ask myself, do you just feel comfortable working in an environment, or you feel there's something else you're looking for? Because
so that is when the statement comes that you're paying yourself to go to work. Because you need to sit down, calculate how you are spending on a daily basis. If you're going to work, you're using an amount that I don't know, and at the end of the month, I don't know whether you earn weekly, a day, or monthly. Then your salary comes when the money that you use every day is just, you know, it has paid up. It's more than the money you're getting. It's just self-discipline. That means you're being financially indisciplined, and that is not even respecting yourself at some point. But people have got reasons. Sometimes you can go to work, you can get more opportunities, you know, to get hands-on and make more funds, than rather just, you know what, turning down that particular job and saying, and it's even not giving me the money I want. But well, at that particular job, you are getting more opportunities. We're not saying you should leave or you should quit. Can you always try to use, and that's what we always say, use the space around you to make sure you be a part of the opportunities that are always coming there, because you never know, or you will never multiply at some point if you're to rely on salary. And if you're to save for investment, when are you going to attain that?
And it becomes difficult for you if at all you don't evaluate yourself. Evaluation is very good, by the way. It's just like sitting down and giving yourself some marks. And you give yourself a tick here, you give yourself a wrong to see. Do you think most people credit themselves or evaluate themselves on HCHAM, the negative ones? Well, in most cases, those who over-evaluate themselves, they overdo it. You know the thing of saying overing. Now, those who actually undermine their hustles are actually doing a great job. But because they feel like no one recognizes them, they will go back home and say, well, I think I'm not good enough. Now, I would say those people are actually the strongest. But when you look at the people, like I was saying, who over it, and you tell him, hey, but you're very good. I know, I'm good. I do this. So those are the people who are actually saying they give themselves a lot of marks. It's just like a teacher giving.
But confidence is good at some point. It keeps some people moving.
But when you look at too much confidence, sometimes creates a lot of
That's what they used to say when you're in papers, too much confidence. You tend to know a lot of things.
You head into the paper, the first question hammers you.
And that becomes Operation what?
Shuja. You know, days of high school when you're entering into an examination and you're doing a mathematics paper, you know very well that you've, you know, question
and then at least we have exhausted some of what you should know about investment for the future and saving for investment. A lot of pickups, at least we could have helped. You can try to save in investment funds that are basically authorized or critiqued by or certified by government, that is the Uganda Investment Authority there. Or you can do the saving on your mobile with that digital mobile phone, or even by the use of the USSD. And now we're going to be taking a break, because when we do return, we'll be now diving into the topical discussion where we take a look on perspectives and analyze with experts on different issues from your respective sectors. Man, you're going to gym these days. I'm seeing
No, but I'll try. After this break, we're going into a discussion to talk about the rising commodity prices, the fuel. A lot of the discussion is coming your way.